Enguany el Festival 42 torna a comptar amb autors internacionals i han portat ni més ni menys que a T.Kingfisher, que és el pseudònim d'Ursula Vernon. Nosaltres li hem llegit aquests 4 llibres que veieu aquí, publicats a Indòmita i a Obscura, i la veritat és que ens fa moltíssima il·lusió portar-vos aquest vídeo perquè vam tenir uns minuts amb l'autora, gràcies a Raig Verd i en especial a la seva editora Laura Huerga, doncs que ens van facilitar uns quants minuts per poder-li fer una entrevista i per poder-la conèixer, per poder-li preguntar coses sobre els seus llibres, i la veritat és que es va fer moltíssima il·lusió perquè, com diem, tenia una agenda aquesta setmana super apretada. Esperem que us agradi l'entrevista, us la deixem a continuació, està en anglès i en subtítols en català, i jo crec que és molt divertida, ha quedat molt bé aquest sentit de l'humor que aquesta autora té amb els seus llibres, també reflecteix quan parles amb ella, i la veritat és que crec que val molt la pena i res, doncs que esperem poder llegir T.Kingfisher durant molt més anys. Esperem que us agradi el vídeo.
Good evening, Ursula, and welcome to Barcelona.
Oh, thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
First of all, we know that you have a very tight agenda these days, and so we want to thank Laura Huerga from Raig Verd for letting this interview happen, and of course, thank you for sharing a bit of your time with us.
I'm delighted to talk to anyone who wants to talk about books.
You better say it when we finish, if you're delighted. Today we are talking about your books, especially the 4 books that we have here that have been translated in Catalan. The first thing we read about you was the Guia Màgica d'autodefensa amb Galetes, the wizard guide for defensive baking. What a title to translate.
Thank you.
But we love this book. We absolutely love this book. So we are very happy to have it. Then it came Ortiga i Os, Nettle and Bone. They are in order here.
Yeah.
Then we have Qui mou els morts, What moves the dead. That is your retelling from the fall of the House of Usher.
Yep.
This one is published in Obscura, not in Indòmita like the other ones. And finally, these days, Indòmita released Illuminations, this one is easier to translate, to which we will pay more attention today because it's the new one. You wrote this book, or it was published in 2022.
Yes.
Since then, you have written more things.
Oh, yeah, they can't stop me. I keep writing.
I counted 5, maybe, since then.
It's very possible. 2022 seems like so long ago now.
It was a good year, I see.
I've written a lot of things that have come out, I think, yes.
So you're here these days because we have the Festival 42, which is the great convention for science fiction and fantasy literature here in Catalonia. It's your first time in the city?
Yes, and it's amazing. It's a gorgeous city, and the food is really good. I'm enjoying it a lot.
Good to hear. Well, as Sergi said, we discovered you with the Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking because it was the first one to be translated into Catalan. And this book also won the Premi Llibreter last year in 2023 for the young adult fiction category, which for us, I think that for Catalan readers, it's a very significant prize because it's awarded by booksellers. And we trust booksellers. So that's why I think that it's a prize that we trust in it. And
I'm so glad that you trust booksellers here. It's wonderful. It's little booksellers are harder and harder to find in America, so I'm so glad that they're still doing well here.
Well, that's what we think. I think that a lot of people think like that, but we are trying to push small bookstores and that, and I think that it's a good moment here in Catalonia for small bookstores and good booksellers that recommend you good books. So this book has been incredibly well received here, even before it won the prize. As I said, I think that when it won the prize, like it appeared again, new people discovered it, but before that, it was very well received here. It has been the same from all the books that you have written. It has been the same in other countries or in the United States.
Many of them, they haven't all been as well received as others, but yes, the Wizard's Guide was unexpected. It was a strange little book, and I did not expect it to take off like it did. It was every now and again you get very lucky. And so yeah, it won a bunch of awards, and I was like, do you know how long that book has been sitting around in my computer? So it's it's been wonderful seeing how much people have liked it.
And it's your most translated book, maybe? I don't know.
I have no idea.
Oh.
That's an interesting question. I don't know. Now I'm curious. What is my most translated book? It would not surprise me if it was. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, both The Wizard's Guide to Effective Baking and Illuminations faced challenges before getting published, as publishers initially rejected them. In the acknowledgement section of The Wizard's Guide, you said that for that book that starts with a murder, that was not very well received for publishers. They said that maybe was not a good thing for children.
It was the strange thing was that I actually sold both of them to a publisher who then sold it back to me essentially and was like, will you give us a different book instead? This one is a little too weird or scary or dark, and we don't quite know what to do with it. And so both of them had the same experience. It was I think adults worry about books being too dark or scary for kids, whereas kids often love dark and scary things as long as they're as long as the good guys win in the end and the dark scary things get defeated. Then I loved that as a kid. I don't know about anyone else.
So for the Illuminations was the same reason? They thought that it was too dark?
Yeah, it was dark, and they didn't really know quite what to do with it because it wasn't like a lot of the other children's stuff that I had written before. They thought that the monster, the Scarling was too scary and would frighten children and things. I was like,
and get nightmares or something?
Yeah, I don't know. It was a strange time, but amusingly enough, when they wanted a different book than Wizard's Guide, I wrote Illuminations, and they were like, not quite. No. Okay.
And looking back now, that I think that both books had great success, how do you feel about having been right all along? Because I think that adults like them because we really like them, but I think that children and young adults like them too. So
I should be diplomatic and all, but I'm just like,
yes,
I knew it.
Haven't the publishers heard something about Halloween?
The Graveyard book was on the bestseller list for over a year at that point, and starts with everyone being murdered. And it's
murder is funny.
Yeah, it
can be.
Of course. Let's focus on Illuminations. That it's the new one for us. Here we have another young character, which is Rosa Mandolini. And she's a 10-year-old girl from a family of artists, and they paint, and their paintings hold magic powers. Rosa is a little younger than Mona in the Wizard's Guide. Do you think the audience for the book, the potential public for the book, is also younger than the Wizard?
Possibly. I always have a very hard time telling how old my books are. Sometimes I will write a book and think it's a kid's book, and an editor will be like, "Oh no, no, no." And sometimes I will write what I think is something for older or for adults even, and people will be like, "This feels really young." Like the heroine of Nettle and Bone is 30, but people are like, "This feels very YA," very, and I'm like, I just don't know what age anything is. I just write the story as I know it, but I hope that younger readers will enjoy it. Certainly, and if they like it, maybe they'll go on to Wizard's Guide a little later.
I can tell you, it works for 46.
Excellent.
It worked for me very well. When you read the book, this Illuminations, you can see that it follows the French Republican calendar.
Oh, yep.
and it happens some centuries in the past. But we assume this story is set in an imaginary and a fantastic world. But taking into account the names of the families there, the characters on the book, Mandolini, Fantastico, you imagine this universe to be some kind of Italy?
Yeah, I was thinking specifically about Venice, and but something along those lines. And I put in the French Republican calendar just because I always thought it was neat that all of the things had names specifically, and that was another thing. The editor at the time was like, where are you going with this? I'm like, I just thought it was cool. So, it's hopefully readers will like the names of the various days because they're just so vividly described, like Onion Day and Horse Day and things like that.
At the beginning, I thought you had invented it.
But then, we didn't know it, that it existed, this kind of calendar.
I saw some names that ring a bell for me and said, I have read this thing somewhere. And then at the end you explain it.
Yeah. The months, maybe.
Yeah,
you said that...
Thermidor.
Yeah. He said, the months, I think that I have read this somewhere
else.
But then the days, it's super funny, the name of the day, like the day of the onion, the day of...
Yes.
Yeah, all kind of things.
Oh, yeah.
Well, in this world of illuminations, the illuminations itself are enchanted paintings that are created to improve people's lives. And they are crafted for artists that get paid to do these illuminations. So it's like a very specific type of magic. It's not like, magical world, well, some magic things happen. No, it's a very specific type of magic. And we were thinking, how did the inspiration came to you to write this? How did you imagine that? It's a very specific and a very curious thing.
I think my mother was a painter, and so I grew up in the house, and she was always painting. And for a number of years, I was an illustrator professionally, and so it was something I knew a lot about. And I always just thought that it was really interesting, and the like illuminated manuscripts. I don't know what you call them, the very fancy ones that monks used to do. Those always seemed like very close to magic anyway. If anything would be, it would be something that you labored over like that so carefully. And so I wanted it to be about craftsmanship and living in an artist studio where everyone is doing creative things, and because that was part of my life growing up, and I just thought it was a neat setting, and pretty much.
So you already knew the name of the colors.
Yes.
You say in the book.
Yes,
there's many colors there.
Yeah, I already. I didn't have to do a lot of research, except occasionally I would stop and be like, would they have had this color? Was this pigment invented yet? Which is another fascinating thing. And I started reading about it, and in the end was like, I have to do like another book about just shades of blue and the wild things that scientists had to go through to find them and things. So
And in illuminations, if some people use paintings to do good, to protect themselves, or for the city, and then there will be others who use them to do evil. And we have here a young girl that is fighting monsters because something that she did, because she opens a box she wasn't supposed to open. And it's a fast-paced novel that at the same time also shares some messages, and we think that we thought, in here I think that there are these kind of ideas that she wants to transmit. And what are for you the main values or the main themes that you wanted to talk in Illuminations?
That's a good question. I rarely start out with a plan that this book will be about this. It just happens along the way, and then sometimes other people are like, is it about this? And I'm like, yes it is. A lot of it for me was the idea that in the end, she doesn't save everything alone. Her whole family is involved. And because I feel kind of strongly that so many stories we read, it's one hero goes and saves the world. And that's never how it works. The only thing that gets you anywhere is a bunch of people working together. So I wanted to write a story where everyone was involved, and where even though her family didn't know about it at the beginning, they were supportive once it happened, and were like, yes, clearly we have to step up and do this, instead of being like, don't get involved, you're a kid. They're like, nope, all hands on deck, let's do this.
And also about envy. There's envy that at the end it's kind of, it becomes another thing.
Yeah. Particularly when you work in the arts, it's very easy to see other people's success and get envious, and that's just it's a bad road to go down at all, because you don't get anything out of it, and it makes you miserable, thinking, why don't I have what they have? So it's a lot easier to. Honestly, what I do is just be oblivious to everything, and that works out well for me. If I have no idea that other things are happening, it's great. My friends are like, here's the book I wrote. I'm like, yes, wonderful, I will read it.
Friendship and family are more important than envy.
Yes. I mean, writers are not competing against each other. They're competing against, a world full of distractions and people not wanting to read at all.
Well, we have read the 4 books, only these books in Catalan. We always read only in Catalan, so we have read these books, and we have to say we love your style.
Oh, thank you.
We like it very much, especially the sense of humor you show, because we think that also clicks with with adult readers. Even when they are meant, in theory, to younger readers. But you make us laugh. We enjoyed them all a lot. This maybe not so funny, but
that one's a bit darker.
Some things.
There's still some.
We think that this is an extra job for the translators. The sense of humor. Because it's a difficult thing to translate, I think.
Oh, my translator is amazing. I am in awe of translators in general, because you have to, not only do you have to be good in 2 languages, you have to be like a poet and get words to mean things that maybe they don't quite mean, or they don't map exactly to each other. Because language so often sort of defines the way we think about things. Like, you can think things in Catalan that I can't necessarily think in English the same way. So it's, I'm just, the translator is amazing. I was lucky enough to meet her, and wow.
Yes, you meet her? You have the chance? Which one? Because you have 2. Marta Armengol?
Mirta.
Marta Armengol, see?
Yeah.
It's Marta Armengol.
Yeah.
These ones are from Eleanor
But her, and she was,
yes, she's very good.
Yes. I'm hoping to meet the translator.
I think you will. These days you have to know Eleanor Raig as well. And I told you before recording, Marta Armengol is also the translator of Brandon Sanderson.
Oh, good.
Which, an author. We just arrived in Catalan bookstores now, because it's the first translation of Brandon Sanderson, and it's from Marta Armengol as well.
Oh, so. That's very exciting. His work is extremely popular. People really love it. So I'm glad that Catalan readers will get to enjoy it.
We will see. We have read T.Kingfisher, not Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I should also warn you that if you think I write a lot of books, Brandon Sanderson writes even more. So
we know. I'm scary.
For us right now, it's like T.Kingfisher 4, Brandon Sanderson 0. Right now, our scores. So let's see.
It will soon be about 30 for Brandon. He's written a lot of books.
No, someday I said, okay, we don't have it in Catalan, so when it's in Catalan, I will start reading him. And now we have it in Catalan, 6 books in a row.
Oh, goodness.
in a year, so I'll be busy next year. So Illumination is your latest book translated in Catalan, but as we said before, it's from 2022. So you have published several books before, and you have, of course, a large back catalogue. Do you know which one is most translated? But how many languages have your books been translated into?
Oh, I I haven't really counted. Certainly German, Hebrew, Chinese, Korean, Portuguese, 6 or 7, and I'm probably leaving some out. It's amazing, and some of them get translated into one language and others into a language and don't necessarily overlap. So it's hard to tell. But I have a shelf full of books at home that are the translated copies, and I like to look at that occasionally and go, "Wow, people around the world, know that this exists and have read it, and I'm just one person who sits in my kitchen typing on a laptop." So,
and apart from Catalan, which one is the more random that has been translated?
I'm trying to think. I think one was translated into one of the Scandinavian languages, and I'm drawing a blank on which one. And they had to come to me and say, because the book was one of my children's books that I wrote as Ursula Vernon called Hamster Princess. And they had to come and say, we don't actually have a word in our language for hamster. What would you like us to use? I'm like,
that's a problem.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there may be a lemming princess book or something somewhere.
I like it. Lemming princess. So apart from these 4 that we already have, which of the other books you have would you like the most to be translated in Catalan?
Well, for adults, I wrote a fantasy romance called Sword Heart that is still my favorite thing I've ever written. It's very funny, and I feel egotistical saying it's funny because possibly other people read it and be like, "This is not funny at all." But I loved writing it, and it is still the one that I'm very proud of. And Nettle and Bone is probably better literature, but this one is just fun, and I would love other people to be able to read that. Just sometimes, it's enough that books be fun and give you a little bit of escape from the world, in addition to the, ones with deep themes.
Now we're talking to Laura.
Yeah. Yeah, so some recommendations if she wants to translate more of your books, that I'm sure that we will have more of your books in the coming years translated, so we can enjoy them also in Catalan. So you have more questions? I think that we will do this quick because we know that you also have a lot of things to do these days. You're going to do you're going to present illuminations to some bookstores, I think, and you're going to the festival. So good luck. I think we will be there.
Yeah, maybe we'll
be
there.
The room will be full. It's an amazing space, Fabra i Coats in Barcelona. So there will be a lot of people. I am sure that is coming to see you.
But I won't know any of them. So
no.
Say hi.
We'll say hi if we see you. So thank you again for your time. Thank you for your books. Thank you for writing them, because we have enjoyed a lot reading them. Young readers are not dumb readers. They want good books. And we think that your books are very interesting also for young readers, and that are those kind of books that maybe can make young readers read more. That it's something that here in Catalonia we are these days also trying to push, that there's sometimes that young readers maybe start not reading that much, and maybe sometimes it's because they don't have books that they like to read. Yeah. So we would love also young readers to discover T.Kingfisher.
If you can, I have always said, if you can get a kid hooked on any book so they realize that books are not, something you're trying to torture them with.
Exactly.
Then you can make a reader for life.
Yeah. So, of course, and thank you again, and good luck these days, and enjoy the city.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.